Welcome to another deep dive. We're going deep into some declassified Project Blue Book files.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, an incident from July 14th, 1977,
Okay.
that had the Air Force scrambling jets over Washington, D.C.
You might be familiar with Project Blue Book, the Air Force's long-running program
Right.
for investigating UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
But even within those files,
Yeah.
this case stands out for its sheer strangeness and the level of detail recorded.
We're talking firsthand accounts from multiple witnesses, radar reports, even conversations between military personnel as they
Yeah.
tried to figure out what in the world was happening.
It's like a time capsule,
Right.
a fascinating window into a time
Yeah.
when the very idea of UFOs was both intriguing and highly controversial.
Okay, so let's set the scene.
Yeah.
It all starts in the early morning hours of July 14th, with reports coming in from Kentucky and West Virginia.
Okay.
A farmer sees a strange light
Hmm.
dancing in the sky.
Dancing in the sky. Interesting.
And not long after, a truck driver reports his truck being violently shaken
Oh.
by something that seemed to come down from the sky.
What's immediately interesting here is that cluster of sightings within a short time frame.
Yeah.
It's a pattern we often see with major UFO events,
Yeah.
almost like a wave of activity sweeping through a region.
And those are just the reported sightings.
Right.
Who knows how many people saw something strange that day
Yeah.
that didn't report it?
Exactly.
Maybe out of fear of ridicule or not wanting to get involved.
That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
There was, and arguably still is, a stigma attached to reporting UFO sightings.
Right.
So the official records probably only capture a fraction of what was actually happening.
Things escalate pretty quickly from there.
Okay.
Shortly after the truck driver's encounter,
Oh.
radar picks up an unidentified object moving erratically near Washington, D.C.,
Oh, no.
which, as you can imagine, got everyone's attention.
Absolutely.
An unidentified object near the nation's capital during the Cold War, that's guaranteed to trigger some alarms.
Big time.
And the radar data itself is incredibly strange.
Okay.
The object is described as moving far slower than any known aircraft at the time.
Really?
Almost like it's hovering. Then suddenly it accelerates to incredible speeds,
To incredible speeds.
leaving the radar operators baffled.
It's almost like whoever or whatever was controlling this thing was toying with them.
I was just thinking that.
That's one interpretation, and it's certainly a thought-provoking one.
Yeah.
The radar data defies our understanding of aircraft performance even today.
So what do? They scramble fighter jets from Andrews Air Force Base? Right.
Well,
Sending pilots up to intercept something they can't even identify.
That's standard procedure in a situation like this.
Yeah.
When an unidentified object enters restricted airspace, especially airspace as sensitive as that around Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
the military has to take it very seriously.
I can only imagine what must have been going through those pilots' minds. They're trained to deal with all sorts of threats.
Yeah.
But this was something completely different.
And the accounts from the pilots involved are some of the most compelling pieces of evidence in this entire case.
Okay.
One pilot, Gary McNair, describes chasing the object as it climbs rapidly.
Trying to get a visual confirmation.
Yeah, trying to get eyes on it.
And this is where things take a tragic turn.
Uh-oh.
McNair and his aircraft crash during this pursuit.
Oh, no.
It's a stark reminder that this isn't just some abstract phenomenon.
Right.
There were real-world consequences, and in this case, a life was lost.
McNair's death is one of the central mysteries of this entire incident.
Yeah.
And it gets even more complicated when you look at the details of the crash.
Okay.
The investigation revealed that the canopy of McNair's jet was ripped off mid-flight.
But he never ejected.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's a huge red flag for investigators.
Yeah.
Why didn't he eject? Was he incapacitated? Did he even have time to react?
Yeah.
And to make things even stranger, the canopy itself was found miles away from the crash site.
Niles.
Miles.
What could possibly cause that?
The forces at play here are simply beyond anything we typically encounter in aviation.
Right.
Whatever ripped that canopy off had to have been incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was found so far away suggests something truly bizarre happened.
So we've got this object spotted in multiple locations,
Mhm.
moving in ways that defy physics,
Right.
and then a pilot dies while trying to intercept it.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
It really is.
But what about that truck driver from earlier?
Oh, yeah. What about him?
Did he ever share what happened to him?
That's another piece of the puzzle that adds to the intrigue.
Okay.
The truck driver was found unconscious in his truck and hospitalized for several days.
Oh, wow.
He suffered from severe shock and disorientation.
Yeah.
And when he finally came to,
Mm-hmm.
he claimed to have no memory of the actual encounter.
He saw something.
He must have.
But whatever it was, it seemingly wiped his memory of the event.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It certainly adds a layer of psychological complexity to the case.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, are we dealing with something that can manipulate human perception?
Ooh.
Is there more to these UFO encounters than just strange lights in the sky?
Right.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it
A
is.
really good question.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but this is real life.
I know, right?
We're talking about documented events
Yeah.
investigated by the Air Force
Mm-hmm.
with tangible consequences.
And that's what makes this case so unsettling.
Yeah.
It blurs the line between what we consider possible and what we might dismiss as pure fantasy.
So what was the Air Force's official explanation for all of this?
Right.
Did Project Blue Book ever reach a conclusion?
The official explanation,
Yeah.
as is frustratingly common in many Project Blue Book cases, was insufficient data.
Oh, really?
They couldn't definitively identify the object,
Right.
and they couldn't explain how the canopy ripped off of McNair's jet.
Wow.
The case was left open,
Real?
which I imagine provided little comfort to those involved,
Yeah.
especially McNair's family.
It's hard to imagine the frustration and grief they must have felt, losing someone under such bizarre and unexplained circumstances.
It's a tragic reminder that at the heart of these strange events, there are real people whose lives are impacted.
Right.
And it's important to remember the historical context as well.
Okay.
This was the Cold War,
Right.
a time of heightened tensions
Yeah.
and paranoia about Soviet technology.
So maybe there was pressure on the Air Force to avoid admitting they had no idea what was happening in their own airspace.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
They were under immense pressure to explain these sightings,
Right.
but they were also hesitant to acknowledge anything
Yeah.
that might suggest they were outmatched technologically.
But those files are declassified now, right?
They are.
So researchers can go back and re-examine the evidence, maybe even come up with new theories.
And that's one of the positive outcomes of government transparency.
Yeah.
These files are available to anyone who wants to study them,
Okay.
which allows for a more democratic and open-minded approach to investigating these phenomena.
It's like a giant puzzle waiting to be solved.
It is. It really is.
We have eyewitness accounts, radar data, physical evidence, and it all points to something truly extraordinary happening that day.
And it's not just the quantity of evidence, but the quality.
Right.
We're not talking about blurry photos
Yeah.
or vague descriptions.
Uh-huh.
We have detailed radar tracks, pilot reports, and witness statements that all converge on a similar narrative.
Okay, so let's say for the sake of argument that this was a UFO.
Let's say it was.
What could it have been?
Right.
What kind of technology could account for the things we've been discussing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
If we rule out conventional explanations,
Yeah.
we're left with some very intriguing possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Could it have been some advanced top-secret aircraft developed by a foreign power?
Okay.
Something so far ahead of its time
Yeah.
that it appeared almost supernatural.
Or could it have been something even more radical?
Ooh.
Something truly beyond our current understanding of physics and technology.
That's a question that scientists and researchers are still grappling with today.
Right.
The way this object moved,
Mm.
the sudden changes in speed and altitude,
Mm-hmm.
the apparent ability to disrupt electronic systems,
Yeah.
it doesn't fit neatly into any of our existing categories.
It's both fascinating and a little frightening to think that something like this could exist.
I agree.
It challenges everything we think we know
Yeah.
about the universe and our place in it.
And it raises some fundamental questions about our own technological capabilities.
Okay.
If something like this could be operating in our skies undetected,
Right.
what does that say about our ability to monitor and understand what's happening around us?
It's a humbling thought, to say the least.
It really is.
We like to think we're in control, but this incident suggests there might be forces at play that are far beyond our comprehension.
And it underscores the importance of keeping an open mind.
Yeah.
We live in a vast and mysterious universe,
Right?
and it would be arrogant to assume we have all the answers.
So what does this all mean?
Okay.
What can we learn from this incident and from Project Blue Book as a whole?
It means that there are still mysteries out there waiting to be uncovered.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It means that our understanding of the universe is constantly evolving.
Uh-huh.
And it means that we should never stop questioning, exploring, and seeking answers.
We started this deep dive with a specific incident,
Right.
but it's clear that the implications go far beyond July 14th, 1977.
This case and others like it force us to confront the limits of our knowledge.
Yeah.
and to consider the possibility that there might be more to reality than we currently understand.
We've only just scratched the surface here.
Yeah,
There are thousands of pages of Project Blue Book
I
files,
know.
each one a potential window into the unknown.
And thanks to the efforts of researchers and archivists,
Mm-hmm.
those files are becoming more accessible all the time,
That's great.
which means that anyone with a little curiosity and a willingness to delve into the unknown can participate in this ongoing investigation.
So for anyone listening who's been captivated by this story, don't stop here.
Please don't.
Dive deeper into Project Blue Book.
Yeah.
Explore other UFO cases, keep asking questions, and who knows what you might discover.
The truth, as they say, is out there,
It is out there.
and it's waiting to be found.
It's amazing to think that all this information was kept hidden for so long, you know?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Now we have access to these files and we can connect the dots,
Yeah.
see the patterns, and try to make sense of it all.
It's a testament to the power of open inquiry.
For sure.
When we shine a light on these mysteries, we invite collaboration, new perspectives, and the potential for breakthroughs we might never have anticipated.
But even with all this information available, we're still left with more questions than answers.
Right.
We've explored the radar data, the eyewitness accounts,
Mm-hmm.
the tragic loss of Gary McNair,
Right.
but what does it all add up to?
That's the challenge and the beauty of dealing with the unknown.
Yeah.
It forces us to question our assumptions,
Right.
to expand our understanding of what's possible, and to acknowledge that there are limits to our current knowledge.
If a skilled pilot like McNair
Mm-hmm.
can lose his life chasing something he couldn't even explain,
Yeah.
what does that tell us?
It tells us that we're dealing with something outside the realm of our everyday experience,
Yeah.
something that challenges our conventional understanding of aviation physics, maybe even reality itself.
And if something like this could happen in the skies above our nation's capital, where else might it be happening?
That's a good question.
Are there other incidents buried in these files
Possibly.
that point to a larger phenomenon?
That's a question worth pondering.
Definitely.
We've only focused on one incident from Project Blue Book, but there are thousands of others waiting to be explored.
Thousands.
Each one a potential piece of the puzzle,
Mhm.
a clue that can help us understand the bigger picture.
So where do we go from here?
That's the question, isn't it?
What's the takeaway for our listeners who have been following this deep dive?
I think the most important takeaway is the importance of curiosity,
Uh-huh.
critical thinking,
Mm.
and a willingness to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Don't just accept what you're told. Dig deeper. Ask questions and explore the evidence for yourself.
These Project Blue Book files aren't just historical documents.
I agree.
They're invitations to a journey of discovery,
Absolutely.
a chance to grapple with some of the most fundamental questions about our universe and our place within it.
And who knows, maybe by exploring these mysteries, we'll not only uncover the truth about UFOs, but also learn something new about ourselves and the nature of reality itself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Project Blue Book.
It's been a pleasure.
Keep looking up, keep questioning, and never stop exploring the unknown.